Welcome to the Liminal Observer, Episode 2, What is Reality Made of? So today we are stepping into a slightly different space, really approaching this as curious Western outsiders exploring Hinduism.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we're not here to deliver a rigid academic lecture today.
Yeah.
We are really just embarking on a short philosophical pilgrimage, basically walking right alongside you, the listener.
Right, a pilgrimage. Because, well, we want to challenge a really fundamental baseline assumption. I mean, I want you to literally look at your hand right now, tap your knuckles against whatever desk or table is in front of you.
It feels incredibly solid.
It really does. It's so undeniable, so utterly convincing that we've essentially built the entirety of our modern worldview upon it. We just operate on this baseline assumption that reality is made entirely of physical stuff.
Right, the stars, the planets, the trees outside.
Yeah, and the biological machinery of our own bodies, it's all just matter. And the natural extension of that assumption is the whole evolutionary story we all know. Over billions of years, cosmic dust cooled, primordial soup formed, biology grew complex, and somehow, miraculously, matter eventually produced consciousness.
We assume the dead, physical stuff came first,
Yeah.
and then the subjective ability to experience it just came second.
Exactly. But what we are unpacking on this pilgrimage is a radical shift in perspective from ancient Hindu schools of thought, basically asking, well, what if that baseline assumption is entirely backward?
Right. What if consciousness is not merely a localized byproduct of the brain? Like, what if it isn't something that just magically switches on when enough atoms arrange themselves in a complex pattern?
Which is huge, right? Because if consciousness isn't produced by matter, then the physical brain is not the origin point of our awareness. That flips the entire architecture of the universe upside down.
It really does. Matter becomes the secondary phenomenon, and consciousness becomes the primary fundamental reality.
But to understand the mechanics of how that could possibly work, we really have to look inward. We have to figure out what exactly our consciousness actually is, which, immediately brings us face to face with the constant noise inside our own heads.
Oh, yeah. The noise. We naturally assume that those thoughts rattling around in our minds are the very definition of our consciousness.
Right, like René Descartes famously cementing this for the West with the phrase, "I think, therefore I am." He linked our existence entirely to the act of thinking.
But that linkage is exactly what we need to put to a stress test today. I mean, consider the person you were exactly 10 or 15 years ago. Think about the specific things that triggered deep anger or, immense joy in that version of you.
I mean, most of those triggers have likely changed entirely.
Exactly. Your memories from that era have degraded, or time has heavily edited them. The specific anxieties, the meticulous plans, the daily thoughts that occupied your mind on a random Tuesday a decade ago, they just appeared out of nowhere, occupied your attention, and then they evaporated completely.
Let's even take it a step further into the physical realm. Biologically speaking, almost entirely new cells make up your physical body compared to 10 years ago. You do not possess the exact same physical brain structure or neural pathways today that you did back then.
Right, so your physical matter changes.
Your personality shifts.
Your emotions constantly rise and fall.
Your thoughts continuously appear and disappear. Yet there is this rigorous logical puzzle that remains. Through all of that constant, unrelenting change, something remains consistently present to witness it. What is the something that is doing the noticing?
Well, to solve that puzzle, Hindu philosophers introduce a razor-sharp distinction between two foundational concepts, Prakriti and Purusha.
Okay, lay those out for us.
So Prakriti translates roughly to nature or matter. It encompasses the entire observable physical universe. But here's the really critical leap. In this framework, Prakriti also includes the mind, the intellect, and the ego.
Wait, the mind is categorized as matter. That's a major hurdle for our Western sensibilities. We usually lump the mind and consciousness together, contrasting both of them with the physical body.
I know it sounds totally counterintuitive at first, but treating the mind as a subtle form of matter actually makes mechanical sense. The mind operates like an organ.
Like the stomach or something.
Exactly. Just as the stomach mechanically digests food, the mind processes sensory data, reacts to stimuli, and generates thoughts. It's a chain of cause and effect.
Oh, I see. A biological cascade of chemicals and electrical signals produces a feeling of stress. It is a material event, it's just happening at a microscopic, subtle level.
Right. So the mind is a machine that belongs to the changing world of Prakriti. Purusha, on the other hand, is pure, unchanging consciousness. It is the silent, formless awareness that simply observes the machinery of the mind.
To visualize the mechanics of this, it's kind of like sitting inside a massive movie theater, right?
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
The screen itself represents pure blank awareness, that is Purusha. And the projector casts this chaotic, high-stakes action movie onto that screen. There are explosions, high-speed chases, deeply emotional tragedies.
And that movie is your mind, your passing thoughts, the events of your life. That is Prakriti.
And when we sit in a theater and get deeply invested in a great movie, our physical bodies react. Our heart rate spikes during a chase scene, or we cry during a tragic moment.
We suffer because, for a brief moment, we completely identify with the projection.
Right. We totally forget we are just sitting in a chair. We think we are part of the movie. But no matter how intense the explosions on the film get, the physical screen is never actually burned. It remains completely unaltered, simply providing the silent space for the movie to be witnessed.
Which means our daily suffering comes from fundamentally misidentifying ourselves. We get so caught up in the plot of our internal narrative that we believe we are the explosions.
We believe we are our anxious thoughts.
Exactly. But the realization of Purusha introduces a profound and honestly slightly unsettling question for the listener. If you can sit back and observe a thought passing through your head, who's doing the observing?
If you can watch your mind race, you cannot be the racing mind.
Right. You are the watcher.
It really demands a total recategorization of reality into three distinct tiers. We have gross matter, which is the physical world we navigate. We have subtle matter, which is the mind, the intellect, the processing power. And entirely distinct from both, we have pure consciousness, the silent screen.
And that framework liberates us from the chaos of our own thoughts. We can actually start treating the mind as a useful tool rather than our core identity.
But once we establish that pure individual consciousness is the fundamental screen upon which the subtle mind plays, we have to scale the concept upward.
Right. We have to zoom out from the individual experience to the cosmos itself. If consciousness is the bedrock of existence, how do the physical universe, the subtle mind, and pure awareness connect at the highest possible ultimate level?
And honestly, mapping out that cosmic connection is where Western observers often hit a wall of frustration, because we have this deep compulsion to classify things into neat theological boxes.
Oh, absolutely.
We look at the vastness of Hinduism and instantly try to label it. We ask, is this a monotheistic religion believing in one supreme creator? Is it polytheistic, believing in a pantheon of hundreds of gods? Is it pantheistic, suggesting the universe itself is the divine? Or is it entirely non-theistic, focusing on an impersonal ultimate reality without any personal deity?
And any attempt to force these traditions into a single box fails. Because, surprisingly, all four of those descriptions can be mechanically accurate depending on which philosophical tradition you're examining.
Wait, all four? How do these seemingly contradictory views coexist perfectly?
Well, to untangle that, we have to utilize the analogy of prism. Imagine a single, intensely bright, undivided beam of pure white light. This unbent light represents Brahman, the ultimate infinite fundamental reality.
Pure existence and pure consciousness.
Exactly. Philosophers refer to this as Nirguna Brahman, which means reality without any attributes whatsoever.
The concept of Nirguna Brahman relies on a principle called neti neti, right? Which translates to not this, not this.
Right, because the logic is that the moment you assign an attribute to the infinite, you instantly place a boundary on it.
Like if you say the ultimate reality is good, you imply that it is separate from bad, which means it is no longer infinite, it is bounded.
Exactly. Therefore, the absolute highest reality is beyond names, beyond shapes, and entirely beyond human description.
But the human mind, which is made of subtle matter, cannot easily grasp or foster devotion for a formless, attributeless void.
It's basically impossible. But when that pure white light passes through the glass prism of the material world, the prism of Prakriti, it bends. It scatters into a vibrant, infinite spectrum of distinct colors.
And these scattered colors are Saguna Brahman, the ultimate reality with attributes, the divine manifesting in specific, tangible forms, red, blue, gold, green.
Yes. And these represent the specific deities within the tradition: Krishna, Shiva, the Divine Mother, Ganesha.
So a practitioner who dedicates their life to the worship of Krishna is engaging with a specific, brilliant color on that spectrum.
Exactly. They are connecting with the divine through a form that the human heart can actually comprehend, love, and revere. They are cultivating a profound, transformative relationship.
While other seekers bypass the colors entirely, They sit in deep, silent meditation, attempting to strip away all attributes and focus purely on the undivided white light before it ever hits the prism. They seek a direct realization of the formless source.
And the crucial mechanical understanding here is that the scattered colors are not lesser illusions or false idols compared to the white light. The color blue is the white light simply interacting with the mechanics of the prism.
Right. Whether a tradition focuses on the scattered colors or the unbent light, they are engaging with the exact same fundamental reality. They simply utilize different tools to accommodate the vast diversity of human psychology.
It is a brilliant psychological architecture.
It really is, but, and here's the catch, it inevitably collides with a massive logical paradox.
Oh, definitely.
Because if ultimate reality is both the single formless source of light and the countless specific manifested colors, how does that relationship actually function mathematically? How can something be absolutely everything while also remaining distinct from everything?
It's a huge problem for the intellect.
In the ancient texts of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna presents a staggering philosophical claim to the warrior Arjuna that captures this exact friction. Krishna states, "Everything rests in me, yet I am not in them, and they do not rest in me."
Yeah, that verse is incredible. It's a deliberate mechanism to short-circuit the linear intellect. It forces the listener to abandon binary logic entirely.
Because at first glance, it sounds impossible. How can everything rest within the ultimate reality while simultaneously not resting within it?
And this paradox is not just ancient poetry. It served as the catalyst for the most intense, rigorous philosophical debates in Indian history. The greatest thinkers didn't just blindly accept the contradiction. They spent centuries constructing massive, competing philosophical systems to solve it.
Let's examine the mechanics of those specific systems, because we have to start with Advaita Vedanta, the school of strict non-dualism championed by the philosopher Shankara.
Right. Advaita argues that the paradox is solved by recognizing that only the undivided white light is actually real.
So the prism, the scattering of the colors, the physical universe, and the separation between you and the divine.
That is all categorized as Maya, which is often translated as illusion.
Right. But it is important to understand that Maya is not a cheap magic trick. It is the cosmic mechanism of perception itself. It's a distortion field.
Yes, and Shankar used a very famous analogy to explain this. If you are walking down a dark road at twilight and see a coiled rope on the ground, your mind might instantly project the image of a venomous snake.
And your fear is biologically real. Your racing heart is real. But the snake itself is an illusion born of ignorance.
Exactly. Shankar argues that the physical universe, and our persistent sense of being a separate, isolated individual, is the snake.
We can also look at Shankara's analogy of clay. You can take clay and mold it into a pot, a bowl, or a cup. We give those objects distinct names and distinct uses, but the fundamental, undeniable reality of all three objects is simply clay.
The shapes are transient illusions. When the light of true knowledge removes the distortion of Maya, you realize there was only ever the rope. There was only Brahman.
So in Advaita Vedanta, your individual soul isn't just connected to the divine. It is the divine, entirely and completely.
But that absolute unity did not go unchallenged.
No, it didn't, because the philosopher Madhvacharya analyzed Shankara's non-dualism and fiercely rejected it, founding the school of Dvaita Vedanta, or strict dualism.
And Madhva's logic attacks the concept of Maya directly at its weak point. If the illusion of separation is happening, who is experiencing the illusion?
Right. If Brahman is pure, perfect, infinite consciousness, it cannot be subject to ignorance or a distortion field.
Exactly. Therefore, the individual soul that is experiencing the illusion must be fundamentally different from the supreme reality.
Madhva essentially pushes back on behalf of our lived reality. He argues that if the snake is an illusion, the person getting scared by the snake is still very real. If the individual soul is just an illusion of Brahman, then human life, our suffering, our empathy, they're all meaningless, like a cosmic prank.
In Dvaita Vedanta, the distinction between the ultimate reality and the individual soul is eternal and absolute. They never merge into a single, indistinguishable pool of white light. Even upon achieving ultimate spiritual liberation, the soul remains a distinct entity.
And the mechanical purpose of existence in the Dvaita framework is for the distinct soul to engage in a dynamic, eternal relationship of devotion with the divine.
Because if you dissolve completely into the white light, the relationship vanishes. You cannot embrace someone if you're the exact same person. The absolute separation is required for love and devotion to exist.
Which really leaves us with a polarizing philosophical battlefield. Shankara argues for absolute unity, where only the light exists, and separation is an illusion. Madhva argues for absolute, eternal distinction, where the light and the observer of the light are forever separate.
But stepping right into the space between those two extremes, the philosopher Ramanuja constructed a third massive architecture, Advaita, or qualified non-dualism.
Okay, how did Ramanuja bridge that gap?
Ramanuja proposed that unity and distinction are not mutually exclusive. They actually coexist simultaneously. To explain the mechanics of this, he utilized the analogy of the soul and the physical body.
Oh, right, because your body is made of distinct, highly complex parts. Your hands, your internal organs, your individual cells, they all have completely different functions.
And they are not identical to your conscious self, yet they are fundamentally unified as you. They are inseparable from your total identity.
So Ramanuja argued that the infinite individual souls and the physical universe itself act as the body of the divine.
Yes. We are distinct from the supreme reality in our specific function and our localized individual experience. But we are absolutely inseparable from its totality. We are the individual cells operating within the cosmic body. Unity in diversity.
And the absolute genius of this era of Indian philosophical inquiry is that no central dogmatic authority ever stepped in to declare a definitive winner.
No. Shankara's non-dualism did not eradicate Madhva's dualism. Ramanuja did not silence Shankara. The schools survived alongside each other, challenging and refining each other for centuries.
Because the perpetuation of the debate is the actual objective. The ultimate nature of consciousness and reality cannot be flattened into a single, sterile mathematical formula that we just memorize.
If the paradox of Krishna's verse was cleanly and permanently solved, the inquiry would just die. The human mind would file the answer away in a cabinet and go back to sleep.
The friction between Advaita, Daita, and Vishishtadvaita is the very mechanism that keeps the intellect awake.
Which brings this whole philosophical pilgrimage right back to the immediate reality of your day-to-day life.
Exactly. Why does the friction of these ancient debates actually matter when you are navigating traffic, answering emails, and dealing with the localized crises of the modern world?
Because these ideas are not intellectual trophies to be collected. They are pragmatic instruments designed to fracture the silent, automated assumptions that govern our daily behavior.
We spend the vast majority of our lives completely identified with the chaotic movie playing on the screen of our minds. When a stressful thought arises about a looming deadline, or when an anxious scenario about a relationship plays out in our heads, we just assume we are that anxiety.
We completely forget the distinction between the subtle matter of the mind generating the fear and the silent, unharmed consciousness that is simply witnessing it.
Recognizing that consciousness might be the foundational fabric of reality, rather than a fleeting, accidental chemical reaction in our physical brains, it changes our entire relationship to our internal weather.
It provides a profound distance. The thoughts can rage, the physical world can shift, the cells in our bodies can regenerate, but the watcher remains untouched. The pilgrimage is about learning to recognize the screen beneath the projection.
As we conclude this short exploration and you step back into the mechanics of your day, we want to leave you with a living question. Do not try to answer it with a logical formula, just let it echo.
As you watch the physical world move around you, and as you observe the thoughts arising and fading in your own head, ask yourself this in silence.
Who is aware of this moment right now?
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu.
May all beings in all worlds be happy and free.